Hey, this episode was recorded back in August, a fun one we'd been saving. So because it's been a little while, I'll be giving you an update on the company behind this week's whiskey at the end of the show, including some very exciting news. This week, we take a step back in time as we revisit 4 whiskies from the New Zealand Whisky Collection, which I tasted back in episode 1. The South Island Single Malt, the High Wheeler, the Dunedin Double Wood, and the mighty Oamaruvian.
Yep, it's only taken him 2 years. And I had to come all the way to Manchester to Nick's bar. But finally, I get to taste me some New Zealand whiskey.
You got to pay for that.
Oh.
As always, you can procrastinate to the highest standard of eye candy just by checking out our social media platforms at Whiskey and Things Podcast on Instagram and at Whiskey and Things on Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah. And whiskey ain't cheap, so don't forget to check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/Whiskey and Things.
You're listening to Whiskey and Things with Nick Kent and Dave Giles.
Welcome to Whiskey and Things. I am Dave Giles.
And I'm Nick Kent. I'm very uncomfortable.
We are in the same room, so this is very odd.
We're in the same room.
Yeah, we don't really know what we're supposed to be looking at right now.
No.
It feels very alien. And all I know about this episode is that it's called Episode X.
Yes. Oh, but first, welcome to the bar, Dave.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's been a long time. I've been here once, back in February 2020. But I've got previous experience of this bar. I've got numerous memories of this bar. Obviously, it used to belong to my dad. So, yeah, it's nice to be reunited with this piece of wood.
Yes. Do you like what I've done with the place?
Mate, I think it's great. I think it's absolutely great.
I didn't have these shelves when you last said
No, you're right. It caught me by surprise because although you see it on the camera every week, when you're actually in the room, it's completely different, obviously.
Yeah.
You popped around mine earlier this week. It's the same thing, right? You were looking around being like, oh, yeah, look,
it's a lot more Lego.
Yeah.
Is what I was thinking.
Whereas you've got whiskey boxes everywhere.
Yeah, they're all across the top of my kitchen cabinet.
Which isn't normally in shot, so I don't normally get to see that.
Do you not see that?
No, camera's always... You've shown me before, but again, it's being here is different, isn't it?
Yeah. I would have thought you would have called it on the other webcam when I'm at my desk, so they're all at the back. But it's different,
it's different.
Isn't it?
It's perspective. I mean, the room looks massive when you're over there.
Yeah.
Because of that camera's got a weird...
The old wide out.
Yeah.
You're saying I got a small flat?
No, it's lovely, mate. I'm very comfortable, very cosy sitting here right now.
Well, welcome. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to do a couple of episodes today.
Yeah.
Because it's such a special occasion.
Yes.
So.
Yes. This is very odd, though. It's very odd. I'm not looking at a screen. It's
just...
I'm sitting at a bar. I haven't got a keyboard in front of me.
No. It must be weird for you then, yeah.
A little bit. Well, I'm fine. I like this, though, Nick. This is how I always wanted it to be.
This is how it's meant to be.
This is how it's meant to
be.
And
hopefully we'll be one day with a guest and sitting down.
Oh, my God, yes.
I had Ruse in here for episode 2.
I remember.
4.
I wasn't here. Didn't get invited.
It's tough, mate. It's tough to get you up in an evening, whatever.
It is hard getting me up. You're right.
Run out of microphones. There's 4 of us.
I could have brought microphones. I got them. Anyway. Episode 2. It's so weird, isn't it? We're now well over 75 episodes.
Yes.
This is only the second time we've done it. Granted, we did Bimbo, the distillery tour, parts of that. Well, the interview was obviously we were together.
Yeah.
But this is only the 3rd time the 2 of us have been together for any of these shows.
So it'd be first show.
Show 1. And even that wasn't all together.
No.
So this is the first all together show.
Yes.
Nuts.
Well, we don't know what it's going to be. We've recorded this. What's the date? 20th of August.
Yes.
We're having some put by everyone so we can have a week off.
Yeah, I'm going on holiday in September, so we're making sure. This might be September.
We don't know.
Might
get really
be another
busy
time.
Over September.
Exactly. Other things may come up
and stuff.
Absolutely. Lots of things to look forward to, or they may have already come out. Lots of things we've already had come out on the podcast.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sweet. Should we? You don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on. You haven't told me. You've planned a show and you haven't told me what we're doing. You've just put an empty glaring Karen on a coaster that says "I respect wood."
You better respect.
I
this
do
wood.
respect your wood, mate. I told you. I was the first person to put a ring on this wood, and I felt awful. And I had to go to a shop and get some wood varnish to get it out.
Really?
Yeah. And
How old were you?
21, 22.
It's quite old.
It's 15 years old, isn't it?
I don't know how old it was.
That's a long time ago. But yeah, it was the bar was brand new, and I'd had a couple of cans of beer on it.
Is that in Portugal?
Yeah, and it ended up with some rings on it.
Blimey.
And I was then like, oh my God, what have I done?
Wow.
What have I done? In my head, my brain was telling it.
But your dad was fine with it, wasn't he?
He didn't know. Because I cleaned it. No, I told him after I cleaned it, I was like, just once I knew I got him out, I phoned up Mum and was like, look, just so you know, I've left some stuff in the stuff here in case you get any rings. It's really good. Get some off.
Right.
But yeah, it was a moment. My head was just going, you've done a bad thing. You've done a real bad thing. But let's do some good things, Nick. Hopefully.
Yes.
What have we got planned?
Right. Well,
are you going to sting me?
Let's do a sting.
All right. Okay. Sting me.
I've actually got the thing here set up.
Oh, fantastic!
Wow, look at
this. Whiskey. So am I doing that? Am I saying this week's whiskey? Is that what you want me to do?
This week's whiskey.
Okay, I will do. I'm up north. I can't do a northern accent. I'm not even going to attempt it. This week's whiskey.
Well, as we've just been reminiscing a bit, and as it's your first time at the bar for friggin' ages, I thought it'd be the perfect time.
It's really weird looking you in the eye. Sorry, just got distracted. I was looking you in the eye.
That's what she said. Is that allowed? I don't know anymore.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes. Yep. Yes. What are we doing? No. Oh, wow. Yes. What? We're doing all three. Get out of town. Get out. There's 4. Hang on a moment. There didn't used to be 4.
There was always 4.
Was there always 4?
There was always 4.
I thought there was only 3.
You marvel at that for a second.
What the devil is going on? Oh, I see what's going on here. So, Nick, I don't know if you know this, listeners. He's never mentioned it before. Nick went to New Zealand once. You may remember from episode 1, we had Matt Wicks on from the New Zealand Whisky Collection. Nick was there and he went in and tried some whiskies and he came back with these samples.
Actually came back. But,
in these lovely boxes,
yes.
Beautiful boxes. And you've opened one of them. I remember when you did that. I can't remember why you did that. Who did we have on?
We didn't. We was after we recorded, I think for our Christmas show or something. So we'd acted like it was our Whiskey and Things Christmas party.
Oh, yes.
So
and yes, you did. I remember. We were having, yes.
Yeah, we had our parties because we were isolated. So we kind of had them by ourselves on Zoom.
Oh, yeah. That was the night where the next day I had a couple of bottles of whiskey turn up because you talked me into buying them when I was drunk.
Probably.
Beautiful. Classic Kent. So this is very special.
So what I've plonked in front of Dave there.
Am I allowed to check my notes now?
You're fine, yeah.
Right, okay.
Because I wasn't letting Dave see what we were doing.
That was
I've
a lovely
plonked
surprise.
3 100ml bottles in front of Dave there. All whiskies from the New Zealand Whisky Collection, where I went to visit when I was in the South Island, Oamaru, at the end of 2019. And so we have the South Island Single Malt there, the High Wheeler, the Dunedin Double Wood, and the Oamaruvian.
I like how you changed into your All Blacks top as well, though. Yeah. That was why Nick just left me.
I thought
it's a really good fit on you, actually.
It's all right. I'm sucking it in a bit.
Are you?
Do you want to see it?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, you have been ill.
Relax.
You've been ill, so you haven't been able to. I'll let you off.
Okay.
But it's still much better than my spare tire.
Do you remember the really baggy tops?
Yes.
Was England the first to have the tight tops?
No, I think it was the Southern Hemisphere teams.
Really?
Yeah, I think we copied them. It was 2003, the first World Cup, where England had the tight top.
Okay.
But I think the Southern Hemisphere had already been doing it. But yeah, I prefer those tops because they're for a rugby fan, and bear in mind most rugby fans are a little bit rotund because they like the Guinness. Those old school tops were very forgiving.
Yeah.
In that regard.
Oh, definitely. They were baggy. And
exactly. Beautiful. And actually, they're more like well-made polo tops, weren't they?
Yeah.
They didn't necessarily look like sports tops, but now these obviously.
Well, they cling, so they're harder to grab hold of.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
That was the whole thing. There was this slippery and not so much material to grab.
Yeah.
When trying to tackle. Wee. So what we're doing first then, Nick?
Well, I thought, obviously we had the interview with Matt Wicks in episode 1. It was a bit buried though, because it was our first episode.
We didn't know what we were doing.
It was a bit of a mess. Our feature whiskey that week was the Lagavulin 10.
Was it?
No. Lafroig 10, sorry.
Lafroig 10, I was going to say. I can't remember having a Lagavulin 10.
I don't think there is a Lagavulin 10.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Lafroig 10, sorry, that was our first whiskey. So if people look at that episode, that's what they're doing. But we had an interview and I did a tasting while I was there and it's kind of buried. So I thought we'd just do a bit of a recap of it and Dave can try them.
Oh, this is amazing.
Because he hasn't. It's still sealed apart from one of them.
And I remember my memories of this was I loved listening to this guy talk. It was amazing. But obviously didn't get to actually taste the whiskies. So to now have the opportunity to hear him do his talking whilst tasting what I hope is 4 delicious drams. See what I did there? Bit of alliteration in it. Do you like that? Devilishly delicious drams. It's what we should have done for Tasmanian whiskey. See what, always thinking.
I remember.
Well after the moment.
I like that. Well, instead of me giving you a bit of a recap, I thought I'd let a bit of a recall back to that interview with Matt Wicks.
Beautiful.
I'll say up front, he no longer works there. He left some point in the last few months. But where I bought this as well, the Cellar Door, which is their shop in Oamaru, has now closed down as well, unfortunately. May 2020 that went. Maybe a pandemic thing or less tourism, that kind of thing. But he has left, but we have this, and I'm just taking his kind of his explanations of these whiskies, etc. So here's Matt Wicks of New Zealand Whisky Collection, but they call themselves company as well sometimes, depending on what you're looking at. Oh, so confusing. But here's him describing what they do.
Whiskey!
Could you give me just a quick kind of history of this place? It's basically, it's not a distillery, New Zealand Whisky Collection. So you acquired some barrels a few years ago, I believe.
We did, yeah. Not a distillery, but once was. It was in Dunedin, about an hour and a half south of here. And the distillery, unfortunately, went through tough times, and Foster's from Australia bought them out.
Yeah.
At a weak moment, and should have kept the company going, in my opinion, and many others, but didn't, and sold everything that they had off. So at the time, there were about 30,000 casks of whiskey, and most of those were sold off and blended with Scotch, we believe, and sold to the Asian market, and the stills were disassembled and moved to the Cook Islands, where they're producing rum with them now.
I read that, yeah.
And a very small amount... it's a sin. Yeah. And a very small amount of whiskey remained in New Zealand, about 600 casks, and they were privately purchased by the Prestons and moved here to Oamaru.
Right.
And they owned a winery in Tauranga called Mills Reef, and they took it upon themselves to take a lot of blended whiskey that was aging in American oak and putting it into their red wine barrels that they'd freshly emptied. So it gives us a wide range of whiskey styles that we have here today, some of which have remained in the American oak casks for the entirety of their maturation, some of which have been in 2 types of casks, American oak to start and then red wine barrels. So that's what we've got here in front of us at the moment. We've got 4 whiskies that we're going to be tasting. The High Wheeler, the South Island Single Malt, the Double Wood, and the Oamaruvian. So the first 2 are very traditional. They're aged in American oak only, and the second 2 that we'll try are aged in red wine casks. And
yeah, you can kind of see that from the colour already, can't you?
The colours,
That's beautiful.
It's the first thing that catches people's eye. They walk in and they see these bottles and they think that we're selling brandy or rum or something, and we have to explain to them, no, it is just the red wine casks. And I think the depth of colour that we're getting from these whiskies is down to the fact that the wine casks are fairly local. Mm-hmm. They were probably almost wet to the touch on the inside of the oak when they were filled. So unlike imported, sherry or port casks that can lose a bit of character over time, these have got so much wine trapped in that oak that the whiskey's pulled out. So the depth of colour and the flavour is unlike any sort of double wood that I've ever had before. Whiskey!
So there we go. That's Matt Wicks, formerly of New Zealand Whisky Company, Collection.
I love listening to that guy talk.
Yeah.
I did at the time. It's great to revisit. I'm really glad you've done this. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I'm doing it in a different order. I'm switching the front too, and I'll explain later why I'm doing that. But we're going to be starting with the South Island Single Malt. So yeah, as you said, there's Willowbank Distillery shut down, etc. This is 100% malted barley because it's a single malt. And have a sniff.
25 years old.
Yes, that was a big thing I just missed out. The 25-year-old, yes.
Lovely. Well, as soon as I put my nose on it, I was like, wow.
Yeah. And apparently continuing the tradition of their multi-award-winning 18, 21, 23-year-old expressions. Got a 25, so I don't know, maybe we'll get a 30 at some point. Oh.
Mate, that just smells delightful, doesn't it? There's a lot of wood in there. Are you getting all the wood, which brings out nuttiness on the nose?
To me, it's a lemony zestiness.
Oh. Absolutely. That's a beautiful experience on the nose. Get me a scented candle with that, please, Nick. I wonder if I'll say that about all four of these. Probably will, won't I?
You said it about every whiskey we've done every week.
New Zealand scented candles from the South Island.
From Oamaru, or Oamaru, depending on who you speak to over there.
I need to try and remember, like, take all this in so I can compare the four.
Yeah.
That's going to be important, isn't it?
Well, I got a clip of Matt talking about this, actually.
The whiskey! So the South Island Single Malt, this is a 25-year-old. And again, the age just throws people out. They're not expecting to try something of this age. So this is a single malt whiskey. It's not coming from a single year, though. There is whiskey in this mix from the late 80s and early 90s. Now, it's all single malt. It's all from the same distillery. But there is whiskey there featuring from 1988 through to 1993. So it's a blend that we've crafted on site. It's lightly peated. You'll get a little bit of that smoky flavour, more on the nose than on the palate.
So with the aging, is it are the laws the same here where the youngest barrel has to be the age which goes on the bottle?
That's right, yeah. So whenever we blend whiskey together, even if it's a single malt or a blend, we have to use that youngest age.
Yeah.
That's still... The one thing that's different here, though, is the minimum age, and that's 2 years. So New Zealand and Australia...
Oh, really?
2 years, yeah, for a single malt whiskey, which if we were aging it in a, your standard bourbon cask, 200 litre size, is really not a lot of time. So that would be a smaller cask that we'd use, like the one that's sitting behind me at the moment. That's a 20 litre cask, and that produces a beautiful single malt in 2 years.
Wow, yeah, because it's more concentrated, more surface area compared to what's in it. Yeah.
And we do have, not so much today because it's still a little bit chilly out there, but we do have a warmer climate overall, the same as Australia, so hence our whiskies take a shorter time to mature.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's very, very, very nice.
It is, and unfortunately, the peaty flavour is
very subtle.
mild. It's very subtle.
Very subtle.
But it's a scary flavour for a lot of people. People come into the shop and I say, what whiskey do you like? And they don't tell me what they like, they tell me what they don't like. And peat is still a flavour that does put a lot of people off. But this is a nice gateway whiskey. It's very subtle. New Zealand peat is very subtle. There's only a handful of distilleries that have ever peated malt in New Zealand. And it's very easy. It's very smooth. It's very light. It's not like an ashtray or an old chimney.
No. The thing is, there's a definite scent I haven't smelt before, and a taste I haven't smelt with anything else before.
Yeah.
It's almost like a spiciness, or I don't know what it is. I'm trying to put my finger on it. But
some people do pick up a light spice here, and maybe that does come back to the
fruity.
Yeah. That could also come back to the peat that was used, because the flora and fauna, the plants that make up this peat are different to what you're going to find in Scotland and anywhere else in the world. So that could influence the flavour as well. But yeah, light spice is something that people get from this one too. The whiskey!
So there.
It's great hearing you talk.
Oh, mate, yeah. Don't.
Over a year
That was
and a
2
half.
years ago, nearly, probably. That was at the end of October. That was.
That's nuts. Because you don't have,
I didn't know
what you're
how to
saying is
interview
right,
someone.
but you just don't know the language.
Yeah,
do
I don't
you?
know what to say.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice. Oh, that's about the barrels because they're smaller because of the surface area. I know about. I might know something about that. I'm going to get that in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, hopefully I've come on a bit since then. I don't know what that spicy thing I was getting on back there, but it's sweet in the nose but dry in the mouth.
Yeah.
For me.
This is you've got written down here that it's 40%. Is that what it says on the label as well? Is that a mistake? Because
No, that's it.
In the mouth, it feels like the way the flavours open up reminds me of stronger whiskies we've had that I love. It's one of these why I normally like a higher percentage ABV, because it opens up in your mouth in a different way. Maybe the age, I'm not sure, but it's giving me that vibe of just like almost exploding on the tongue, like the higher ABVs do.
Yeah. Lots of flavour. No, he's good. That's fine by me. I was just offering Dave another pour. He's like, no, I'm good.
No, I'm looking at the fact we got a few more. This is super tasty.
Isn't that nice?
Super tasty. And I didn't, when I said higher ABV, it's not because I feel like it's the burn is more or anything like that. It's just the way it reacts on your tongue is similar to those higher ABVs.
I think that's the fact it's 25 years old. It's nice.
The one thing I would question is that, I mean, he's talking about a subtle peat. That's incredibly subtle peat. I'm getting hardly any of that, if at all. It's not something I'm going, maybe a little bit on the aftertaste, but not while I'm drinking it, and definitely not on the nose.
For me, it reminds me a bit of that Cotswolds peated cask for me, where it wasn't like a big peat, it was just a subtle cask thing.
Yeah, maybe. I felt
but
like that was
well,
more peated than this.
As well, at the end, he saying that their peat might have different plants in it. So
of course, it's different. It's going to be picked complete several half the world away.
Half the world away, exactly. You know.
You nearly broke out into song there, didn't you?
Nearly. Well, that's what I usually do in my flat when I'm on my own. I'm bursting into song all over the place.
Oh, you're so musical theatre, Nick.
Oh, I know.
La La Land is what this place is called.
Yeah. So what else we got on this? Yes, good news, everyone. You're able to purchase this in the UK.
Oh, wow.
If you want. Whiskey Exchange. Have it on there. How much do you think, Dave?
What size bottle is it?
35 cl.
So half of a standard bottle.
Of course.
All the way from New Zealand.
All the way,
25 years old.
Yeah.
What, 60 quid, 70 quid?
35 cl, £150.
Okay.
It's a 25-year-old.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. So I have and
there's not much of it.
Yeah,
as you said, it's come from this limited stock of barrels from this distillery, which is closed. And it's obviously getting older and older. They've taken a certain batch of 25-year-old and then maybe aging the rest, not sure. But yeah, when this stuff's gone, it's gone.
How do you feel about that price?
It's a lot of money. For me, it's a great souvenir and I will kind of savour it. I don't know if I would...
Was this a lot cheaper than that when you were there? Or
I'm not going to lie, all these whiskies, I didn't look at the price really.
Right, okay.
It was, I'm on holiday.
I'm buying some whiskey.
I want these 4 that I've tried.
Yeah, absolutely.
100 ml, they come in lovely boxes and they were great because they're great for packing. Because again, I had to get all this stuff home. So I didn't look, to be honest.
So you can't remember. Because cars, to me, that seems steep for the flavour profile. Mm-hmm. I really love it, but that's a lot of money for this flavour.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've had...
probably a lot less over there.
Yeah. And I'm looking at the 4 and I know in my memory of what you said about them is that if the others are available, I think I would go for one of the others because they're slightly different compared to this one. And I'm not talking this down. I'm just talking in terms of value for money.
Oh yeah.
And of course, the shipping costs and the customs and all that kind of stuff is, and as we've already discussed, all the other things. Yeah. But yeah, that is a lot of money. But it is a beautiful drop, though. So
it's a lovely drop.
Yeah.
Oh, this is ex-bourbon casks, by the way, full maturation.
Would I spend that? I don't know if I would.
Let's go on to the next one. Then we can kind of round them up at the end.
No, absolutely. Good idea. What we got next then?
Well, the next 3, I'll switch those around because the next 3 are interesting because they all start off as the same spirit, but they've been matured in different ways. They've had different casks and they've been matured for different periods of time and they're different ABVs, etc. But they're 3 very different whiskies.
Right.
I'm going to clear up a bit afterwards, but I'm just going to play. The next one we're going to do is the High Wheeler, single wood aged, so 100% in ex-bourbon.
Yeah.
And yes, I'll just let Matt talk about this one as well.
So this is a 21-year-old, and that blows people away to start with because finding 21-year-olds for $8 a glass now is very rare. It is a blended whiskey, and unfortunately, the B word still scares a few people off, and it shouldn't because it's a beautiful whiskey.
Yeah, it's lovely. It smells great.
Yeah. So what this is it's a blend of single malt and grain spirit, so made from unmalted barley and malt barley. Aged in American oak for the entirety. It's bottled at 43%, but it's just a nice whiskey to start with. It's a good palate opening whiskey. It's nice and clean and fresh. It's got subtle fruit flavours coming through, pears, pineapples, and of course that vanilla on the nose that we're familiar with that toasted oak.
Yeah.
You're listening to Whiskey and Things.
Yeah. That toasted oak we're all familiar with. Nick.
Yeah. It's interesting because I wonder at that point whether you knew about the difference between grain and malt. Did you know at that point?
No. I think at that point I was, it was early interviewing people at all, and I was thinking of the next question in my head.
Rather than really listening.
Rather than properly listen. Or I was thinking about levels and stuff because I was new to this, everyone.
So just saying, yeah, every now and then to make it seem like you're listening.
Also trying to sniff it and taste at the same time.
Same time, yeah.
It's quite difficult, everyone. So yeah, as you said, it's a mixture. But here's where it gets a bit odd. Not odd for me. I'm not going to get into like too anal into categories and stuff, because we've just come off talking about the Woodsman, and I'm a bit tired of it, to be honest. But they say this is a master blend, I'll bring that up again later, of 70% single malt and 30% premium grain whiskey, made from unmalted barley, as he said, and then aged for full 21 years in the ex-bourbon American oak casks. Yeah, for me, he calls it a blend, but I wouldn't call it a blended whiskey. If we're going like with the way Scotch categorise things, that would still be a single grain whiskey because it's from the same distillery. It says here, years ago at Willowbank Distillery in Dunedin, a batch of whiskey was made in the distillery's column still using unmalted barley. Fantastic. This single grain whiskey was then blended with 70% of their single malt, same distillery, and placed in American oak ex-bourbon barrels. 21 years later, this is the High Wheeler. For me, that'd be a single grain whiskey if we were talking Scotch, because it's from the same distillery. I don't know whether they categorise things differently over there. He's called it a blended whiskey just because they blended grain with single malt. But as well, I'm wondering, it sounds like they did it when it was new make. Again, I don't know. Sounds like the way he was talking, that's the way they've done it. So I've actually invented a new category.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Called single blended whiskey. To describe these next three, which I think is much
so
clearer.
they're all the same. We've got a bit of grain in and a bit of malt.
The three of these are going to be 70% of the single malt, 30% of that grain whiskey.
Just finished different.
Yeah.
And this one's a bit older.
This is 21 years old.
So it was interesting. He said 21 years old. And I'm sorry, I'm going to go straight to the value. $8 a glass, which is about £4, right? Mm-hmm. Or $5 if you're over there. So actually, that's a reasonably. I haven't tried it yet, but that's a standard whiskey price.
Yeah. Do you want to know the price now
of the bottle in the UK?
You can't get it in the UK, but New Zealand dollars. 35 CL again is 100 New Zealand dollars, which is about 50 quid. Plus import taxes, of course, if you want it over here. But it's 50 quid a bottle out there for half a bottle. So £100 for a standard size. Again, a 21-year-old.
Interesting. 21-year-old is a bit unique. On the nose, I feel like it's kind of similar to the one before. Maybe I am.
Left.
I'm definitely getting a bit more.
Well, you get a lot. It's more vanilla in the first one.
In the last one was more vanilla than this one.
More vanilla and citrus.
In the
South Island.
I would agree. This one is definitely more nutty.
Yes, correct. Not correct, but I agree.
Yeah,
I concur, David.
I concur, Your Excellency. Anyone who's played Civilization 2 will appreciate that reference.
I have not.
So yeah, let's try it. Oh, well, I love the mouthfeel. Oh my God. It doesn't explode like the other one did, but it's longer on the finish. I prefer this one.
I don't know.
I prefer this one.
They're both very light in terms of, well, it's not like a sherry bomb or anything. You know what I mean? That's what I mean in light. Very light colour too, actually.
The old cubed sweets like cola cubes and pineapple cubes, particularly probably pineapple cube on this one, actually.
It's sweeter for me.
Yeah, definitely sweeter, which is probably why I prefer it. Without being... Do you know, it does remind me of the Yacht liquor.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, I feel you. It's weird, the whiskies we've all tried, like the Yacht liquor and the other Macmillan one.
Bjorksav.
Yeah, the Bjorksav. Especially that one. That's my go-to limoncello or whatever. That's the one I go back to. It's like I've got the Douglas Lane Epicurean, and that's like bam, straight.
But that's why I was saying the citrus fruit sweets was that kind of limoncello. That it absolutely makes sense. The sugary goodness with some citrus and just loveliness. I mean, I'm a big fan of that.
What are we at? We are at 43%.
43, so a little bit stronger. And weirdly, it does, I mean, not that mate, that's too much difference. That's so drinkable, Nick.
Bit of pear.
Yeah, pear drops. That's my point. All those sweets that.
Yeah, bit of floralness as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Oh, Nick,
you enjoying yourself?
This is a treat. This is a real treat. And both of those are just special, aren't they? They're really special. But I will say this at this point. I'm not feeling the New Zealand in it.
Okay.
Like this, now how we often talk about having different countries have had their different flavours of different styles, particularly that French one we had, which was way out there. And obviously American whiskey is different. These, if you had blind test me and he said where these are from, I probably would have said somewhere in Scotland, probably.
Which could be Lowland.
Yeah, exactly what I was just about to say. And that doesn't mean they're bad. It just I'm at the moment struggling to figure out what's New Zealand about them.
Yeah. Because again, it's ex-bourbon casks.
Yeah.
Single malt. Yeah, again, we won't get into the terroir argument, but barley, I'm guessing, doesn't say. Well, I've been reading recently in a book I've been reading, barley doesn't make an effect on the taste. Answers in the comments, everyone.
Opinions, please. But perhaps they should have used more of the on the last one. Maybe having more of that New Zealand peat would have been more interesting.
Maybe
just because it would have been a bit more unique compared to other peated whiskies.
Yeah, but
it's not to say that either of them are bad. I'm just using the same process I've used before when we've tried other world whiskies. You like the Bjorksav or whatever, and I know I said this is like that Swedish whiskey, but only in terms of the fact it's the sweetness that you got from that Bjorksav. Mm-hmm. But essentially, this also just tastes like Scotch, but very good Scotch.
Very nice Scotch.
Very, very good Scotch.
Anything else I've missed here talking about it, apart from calling it a single blended whiskey?
What do you think of the labels though, Nick?
I like them. Yes, obviously I've only got the little bottles. They're quite cool. They don't look Scottish.
No.
That's what I like about them.
I agree with that. Mark Browning wise, they're very different.
Yeah, they brought in a guy. And
obviously they've got the map of New Zealand on it as well. Oh yeah,
the boxes that came in are fantastic. Yeah, they've got a map of New Zealand and little stories and stuff in there. Show where they come from.
Where they come from, yeah.
All that kind of stuff. Yeah, they don't look like Scotch stuff. They do have a Kiwi vibe to them, which I like. They brought in a guy to completely, because they did. So obviously this was from a distillery before, so they came in and then some guy rebranded the entire thing. Let me read this bit. Greg called in 2 Tassies. I should explain who Greg is. It all started, a little bit of backstory. Again, I wasn't going to do this, but as we brought up the branding, it all started in 2009 when Greg Ramsey, who had recently managed the development of Nant Distillery in Bothwell, don't know where that is, heard of these 443 barrels of matured aged New Zealand whiskey. After evaluating the stock, he knew he was onto something special and immediately brought together a group of investors to purchase the entire stock. Greg called in 2 Tassies, Tasmania. I know about Tasmanian whiskey. I do now.
Absolutely.
Go back and listen to episode 1 if you want to realize about it. Oh yeah. Ready to, there you go. Brought in 2 Tassies, ready to revitalise the branding. Production manager and designer Tom Holder reinvigorated the bottles with fresh, modern packaging. Meanwhile, Benalla Boy, I'm guessing that's a thing in New Zealand, Troy or Tassie, Troy Trewin, or Trewin, Troy Trewin, Troy.
That's a mouthful.
Troy Trewin.
Troy Turin.
I might leave all this in. Troy Turin.
Troy Turin.
T-R-E-W-I-N.
That's the most Irish sounding name ever, isn't it? Oh, Troy Turin.
Anyway, that guy, Troy, relocated to Hobart after a long stint in Oamaru and sought channels that today see the whiskey collection available across Canada, Australia, the UK, EU and US. But yes, that was a long-winded, which I wasn't going to say. I would have edited that down. But there we go. But yes, they do look
great
to me.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next whiskey.
Sweet.
So again, this is the same spirit. This is the Dunedin Double Wood. And here's Mr. Wicks once again.
Right, number 3, Double Wood.
Double Wood, yeah. So this
bit more colour on this one.
A lot more colour, yeah. This is a strange one. Now, this is... how to describe it? It is a whiskey at heart. It's a good whiskey though, and the reason I say it's a good whiskey is because it opens itself up to new ways of thinking. A lot of people come in still, and they're not fans of whiskey. They may have been put off by something in the past that they don't like, but this whiskey here has got such a broad flavour to it that it appeals to whiskey drinkers, but non-whiskey drinkers as well. The red wine barrel has had a huge influence on it. It's local red wine, New Zealand Pinot Noir, aging in French oak. And it's transformed the flavour from essentially what was the first whiskey that you had, the High Wheeler. This is the same spirit, but the red wine barrels changed it.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. So instead of that fresh tropical fruit and citrus and vanilla, that's gone, and you get this Christmas cakey, cherry, raisin sort of flavour coming through. If you ever remember mum or grandma making a Christmas cake in the kitchen, it smells like that. You walk into the house and you get that warmth of that baking smell.
Yeah, totally.
That's what I get with this whiskey.
You're listening to Whiskey and Things.
There we go.
Well, on the nose, I mean, I'm guessing New Zealand Christmas cake smells very different to English Christmas cake, because that doesn't remind me of Christmas cake at all. But
That's glorious.
it's glorious, though, isn't it?
Oh.
It's so sweet.
That's weird as well. Although I'm smelling the same whiskey I smelled back then, the smell of the wood in that shop would have made it smell different. The
Of course.
smell of the wood here.
Yeah.
It might be, there's less influences around here.
I mean, that's just delightful, isn't it?
Again, as you said, that's not like anything else.
Do you know what this also reminds me
I
of?
was thinking this when you said, sorry to interrupt, when you said it doesn't smell New Zealandy. I was thinking these ones might be a bit different.
These. This is controversial, right? Do you know what this reminds me of?
That's not like you. Yeah?
Do you know when you got those pens that smelt really good? The
Highlighter
highlights.
pens. No.
That you'd sit there sniffing because
No,
they smelt really good.
Oh, I can see there's a bit of sulphurness, but not.
It's not overbearing. It's not a bad.
not
It's not
sulphur.
Yeah,
But
a good glue smell. Like when glue smells good,
but
this
not,
is what.
Yeah, not bad glue, Hague smell.
Yeah.
That's
Good
bad glue.
Yeah, bad glue. This is good glue, or good pen. You know, good Sharpie smell.
Yes. So, as he said, where are we on my notes?
But it's really dark.
Dunedin Double Wood. Again, same spirit.
18 years, bit younger.
Bit younger, 18. So here's the journey for that. That was 6 years in American ex-bourbon casks, standard. I love this. So 6 years in that. Finished in French oak ex-New Zealand red wine cask for 12 years. That's finished longer than the initial maturation, which I thought was quite funny.
Oh, man, I could smell this all day long.
That's an enormous flavour.
Mate.
No, I haven't tasted a Scotch like that.
This is similar to that French whiskey,
The Bryn.
the Bren. But this is better.
You got some of that in your bag.
I do have some of that in my bag.
Is that white wine finish? Is that
No,
Chardonnay?
that was cognac.
Ah, okay. Cognac. Oh, there's stuff on the nose here I can't pick, but it's beautiful and it's unlike anything I've had since this.
If you don't like sweet whiskies, this is not for you. This is very sweet.
But still essence of that tannin
Yeah,
thing,
it's
which
got
I get
it's
from
got
red
a little
wine.
bit of dry, a little bit of the dryness from the red wine, but not overbearing at all. Actually,
No, it's a lovely flavour. It's
but
a big flavour.
this is what I want, Nick. This is what I wanted.
Yeah.
This is what I was talking about after the last one. Something unique. Something's like, okay, this is how New Zealand does whiskey. Well,
Yeah.
and it is. It's New Zealand wine, finished in New Zealand wine barrels. So it's clearly got the different flavour profile as a result. Something we've never had. I just said it's similar to the French one, but it's not the same at all.
No.
But
Yeah.
that French one is crazily different to other things we've had, which is why I'm saying it's out there like that. Some whiskey purists will probably hate this. I'm not that guy. I love this. This is amazing.
It's weird how Matt said, he's like, it's kind of weird how he said it. He's like, it is a whiskey, but this, that, and the other, because it is very different. And as he said, it might appeal to people who don't like whiskey that much because it is quite different. But it's just that red wine. 18 years, so 12 years in a red wine cask. And as well, like, I drove to where those vineyards are. I did that in like less than a day. They're so close. They're just up there. They're fresh. They haven't been shipped halfway across Europe.
As he said, wet to touch.
Yes.
When the whiskey would have been poured in.
Yes. When you taste the next one, trust me, you're going to be like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But this one,
I'm really loving I'm loving this.
The thing is, this one, it's out of stock with them in New Zealand, and it's also you can't get this version of it in the UK at all. So this is kind of it.
Wow.
So again,
Yo.
you're welcome, Dave.
Oh, I appreciate that.
40% again. Do you think this tastes like a 40%?
I think this tastes more like a 40% than the first one did.
Okay. It has a lot more flavour.
Yeah, but still
Richer flavours.
Yeah, absolutely. Rich is the right word, and I
There's
yes.
a toffiness.
Oh yeah, it's sweet as hell,
And it coats the mouth. Yeah.
Sweet as
but not
hell.
over sweet.
This is great.
Enjoying that?
Absolutely, mate. That's so special.
Again, it's a 70. This is what they would call a blend. unmalted barley and malted barley, 70% to 30.
You've got the grapes. I mean, it's a long finish, grapey as hell. Grapey as hell is an expression I don't think I've ever used in my life. There we go. So it's a little bit grapey, this one. Listen, I love grapes. Did you ever used to play the game when you were a kid of how many grapes you could fit in your mouth? I mean, it's probably all kinds of wrong in terms of, I know that grapes are a risk of choking, but we used to stuff them in, try how many we could get in. And...
No, I did it with Pringles, salt and vinegar ones. God, my eyes were streaming. So I was with you for that. No, maybe not.
I don't know I can't remember doing that. Grapes. How many grapes you can get in your mouth? Love it.
What was it?
No, I can't remember now. It was years ago, but I just remember the game. Every time, squeeze them in.
Wow. Well,
didn't die. Luckily, I didn't die.
Shall we move on to the last one?
Yeah, let me have a final sip of this, though. This is so good.
You might want to compare, because these two are related, very much so. This is one I've tried at Christmas. We're going on to the Oamaruvian, everyone.
Great. It's just a great name as well, isn't it?
It's a great name. Oamaru. The blue penguins are there. That's where I saw the blue penguins. Anyway, here's Mr. Wicks once more to talk about this one.
Oh, yeah. Love that whiskey.
The last one's my favourite, though, so I'll be interested to see how you feel with that.
That is dark.
It is dark.
The Oamaruvian.
It is a big whiskey. So the double wood that we just had, that's 40% strength. The Oamaruvian is cask strength, so that's 55.8. 55.8%. So this is, I liken the double wood and the Oamaruvian to a piece of music. They're both the same. They're both the same piece of music, but the Oamaruvian, we've got the volume, we've got the bass, it's been turned right up, so everything's amplified.
Yeah.
Those flavours are much bolder. You don't get the slight light spice. It's like a punch in the mouth, but then it gives you a nice big hug afterwards.
It's more subtle on the nose for me.
Okay.
I can't get as much. Yeah, that one seemed to be a bit sharper in the nose, but
interesting. Then again, the palate may have adjusted over that time, and you've become accustomed to those flavours. That's why the double wood would have been quite sharp initially, because you've gone from something quite light and peaty to very berry and raisin flavoured. But it's much thicker, this one. It's got
it is.
There it is.
There it is.
And it explodes into the sinuses too.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yep.
Kind of taste the tannins in it as well a bit.
You do. You get a real drying sensation as well. And there's a real journey on this whiskey. It starts off very bold and almost sharp, and then that mellows out, and you get the drying, the tannins, but then you get this little sweet warmth at the end, and it just sits there. It doesn't go away. There's those berry, those raisin flavours, they just sit there. A little goes a long way with this whiskey.
I respect wood.
So what I like there is every time he says berry, I think he says beery. Beery. I'm like, oh, what, beer? Oh, no, he's saying berry.
Yeah.
But interesting. So we were smelling that as he was saying that. And I agree with you, Nick. It is more subtle on the nose. And I did the whole reset your nose thing that you taught me how to do. I think it is more subtle on the nose. And your colour it's twice as dark as the other one.
So yeah, this is basically the same. This is the double wood, but not proof down.
Yeah. So that other one
was 40%.
It smelled very fruity. This one brings back the woody stuff that we had in the first two and the nuttiness that we had in the first two, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's quite a bit like mahogany furniture.
Yes, but with a hint of pen.
You and your pens.
I love those pens. This is reminding me of those. Can I smell the first one again, Nick? I know you've got a tiny bit there.
You may.
So this
the first of the spirit, or the first?
No, the first one. So this was the South Island. Yes. And the second one? The
High Wheeler.
High Wheeler. It's a great name for a whiskey. I love that.
Love this. He's drunk all his own, then he wants to smell on the wine. Unbelievable.
You did give yourself extra pour.
I did not.
Well,
maybe the first one. Oh, maybe the first one. Got carried away.
So it smells a lot more like the second one.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's same spirit.
Same spirit. Yeah, absolutely.
And younger than the first one. 18 years rather than
It feels
21.
like on the nose that the whole red wine thing has had less of an impact than the double wood. On the nose.
Okay. Well, perhaps, when you've got a really strong whiskey and you put your water in there and suddenly other flavours pop out. That's what's happened there.
Yeah, that would make sense.
You know, when
That
it's a
would make
bit too
sense.
strong, I'm going to sip here.
Whereas this is a cask strength, so
tell you
therefore
what.
it hasn't had that process.
It hasn't had that.
So we'll maybe go for that experiment in a little while once we've had some of this as is.
I'm not going to lie, when I just poured it, it was like syrup. It was like I was pouring glucose syrup or honey or something. Obviously not that much, but I definitely noticed the thickness, everyone. I talk.
Oh,
I got a vocabulary.
God. Mate. Holy hell. Oh my God. Mate.
For me, the tannin hit straight away. The drying tannin.
But that's the... Oh my God. It does the thing that I like. I like high ABVs for. It explodes in your mouth. Beautiful. It is a bit dry. I don't mind that, but not overly dry. It's dry without being... I need some water afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. So much flavour. Oh my God.
All the flavour.
Oh my God.
Again, this was 6 years in the ex-bourbon, finished for 12 years in the French oak New Zealand red wine casks from literally an hour up the road.
Sorry, so just on a real... Remind me, what's the difference between this one and the other one?
Between the one we just had?
Yeah.
The difference between the Oamaruvian and the Double Wood. The Double Wood, same, aged 18 years. It's just that Double Wood was proofed down from 55.8 down to 40.
I see. Right. Whereas this is cask strength.
So, yes. Same spirit, same age, same everything, just
Proof. And
just
so
added-
if you add
added
water to this, you're going to end up with a Double Wood, essentially.
Pretty
is what
much.
you're telling me.
Yeah. So it's nice to have the option, isn't it, Dave? And more good news, you can get this in the UK. So it'd be 55.88 proof, 18
Is it the
years.
35s?
No, we've gone up to 50 for this one.
Right, so it's a bigger bottle.
Yeah.
The last one was 25 years old and the Whisky Exchange. And it was 150 quid for 35.
Correct. That was a single malt, 21 year. This is 18 year cask strength. So it's might be a bit difficult to judge there, but
I think it's at least 120.
for 50 CL, £110.
This is so much
So you're
better
talking about
value.
130,
Mate,
140 quid for a
that's so
standard.
much better value than the first one we had.
It's just different for a start. And yeah, I agree with you.
If I'm going to buy one of those two that are on offer in the UK, I'm going to go with this every day of the week.
Yeah.
It's unique. It's just wonderful. The first one was good. The first one was really good. But you could tell by my reaction when we were drinking it and you told me the price, it wasn't that value. Like, I didn't feel... like you just telling me how much that is, I would spend that if I had it. I would spend it on this whiskey because actually that's so good. Especially for a cask strength, so you can water it down if you want, and,
Exactly.
and make it go a bit longer if you want to.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, I'm not loving these just because they remind me of my holiday. I'm loving these, especially this one. 'cause
They're
just
frigging
different.
good, aren't they?
Especially these last two. They're just
last two are
very
special.
unique to them, I think.
It's exactly what you want.
So they got that New Zealand wine character.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the Pinot Noir I was out there.
Oh, man, I'm
not
still-
going to pretend like I remember what the Pinot Noir
Mate,
tastes like, but
the finish is still going. It's still going. I haven't had a
Goes
sip
on for
in
days.
at least 2 minutes, I don't think, and it's still there. That fruitiness, the grapes, the raisins. It does still have the grapiness that the last one had.
it doesn't taste like a 55 either.
No, absolutely not.
It's not. It's just flavour.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not blowing. It's not blowing my shirt off with.
Not in here, please.
Yeah, it's not with strength. It's not making me go, oh, God. I think the best whiskies we've had that are normally high ABV are those ones that are high ABV without knocking your socks off and still loads of flavour because you get all the extra flavour, but it doesn't feel like you're drinking pure alcohol. Actually, you've got a special drink, and this I would call a special drink.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Nick, that's
I'm gonna have a little
amazing.
bit more.
And I think this is the darkest
so
whiskey we've ever
thick.
had, isn't it? It's definitely up there.
No, I think it is because this is the one I always bring up when we're talking to people. They're like, "Oh, it's very dark," and I'm always like, "Well, look at this bad boy or bad girl."
I mean, it's almost red. It's almost red, isn't it?
It's almost like I don't know what spirit is like
Port.
rum.
I mean,
rum or port.
do you know
or-
what? This actually reminds me of drinking port. That's what this reminds me of. This reminds me of drinking port. Now, port's nowhere near as strong as this, but this has got a similar vibe to drinking port, and I love port. So that's why, if you love port and you love whiskey, this is it. And it's not port casks. It's not like this has come from Oloroso, which is a port. This has come from red wine casks. And I know they're the same family. It's for...
Is that Oloroso sherry or port? Sherry.
Oh, is it sherry? What's PX is a port, right?
That's a dessert wine. That's still a sherry.
Have we done port cask finish?
We have. Yeah, we must have. Have we done a port cask?
You're right. Oloroso sherry.
Yeah. No, we've done.
I'm
rum.
assuming that's a thing. I'm assuming that port cask must be a thing.
Yeah, it is. Oh, we'll have to get on that, Dave.
We'll have to get on that. Absolutely, we'll have to get on that. But this reminds me of port. Do you not agree with that?
Yeah, I see it.
I could pour you a glass of port right now.
It just feels thicker than the others. And
absolutely.
Of course, port is thicker.
Exactly, which is a port thing, right?
Was it with you? Did a bottle of port once, thinking it was red wine.
Absolutely. Well, I knew it was port.
I didn't. I thought it was red wine.
Yeah,
with a whole bottle of port.
Yeah.
That was a fun night.
But port's not it's not as strong as this,
right?
But it's in terms of texture.
Yes,
that thickness, syrupiness.
Which is your favourite, Dave?
This one.
Yeah, the Oamaruvian.
But the last two have been very special. They've all been great. They've all been great in terms of value for money. This one.
Oh yeah.
Compared to that first one,
it's just a bit different, a bit special, isn't it? And again, you can. The last two are the same, just different proofs, so you can get a bit more out of your money. And they don't do this one anymore here. So yeah, the one you got, you can actually get, Dave, if you want to get it. And an affiliate link to the Whiskey Exchange for that whiskey will be in our show notes, everyone. And the other ones you can get as well.
And anyone listening who's thinking, what do I get Dave for Christmas?
Yeah.
And I haven't said that this year.
That's for me.
I have not said that this year. That's a very expensive.
That's early. What are we, August? Not even September yet.
We're getting
That's
there,
the cut off in the supermarkets, isn't it? Beginning of September for Christmas.
All right, I shouldn't have mentioned it. Sorry, everyone. Sorry.
Get the kids back to school, then they start Christmas.
I'm just thinking, I really want a bottle of this. That's what I'm thinking. This is,
I'll put here colouring. No.
All right, so this week, I've visited a couple of friends, and as a result, my best buddy Joe, I met up with him the other day, and I knew we were going to have a couple of whiskies. It was really nice, and I was like, right, what can I take him that I've learned over the last year, which would show some stuff that I know he wouldn't have tasted before.
Yeah,
and he likes whiskey, but I know he's not going to have had anything like this. So Bren, Bimber, and the Westland, Gariana 4. They were the three. I was like, I want to give him a sample of each of those so he can go, I've never had a whiskey like that before.
Yeah.
And this is another one that I think if you've got in your... It's perfect for those moments when you've got someone around who likes a whiskey and you're like, you're not going to have had something like this. And it's special.
Yeah.
And it is special. And sure, they may still prefer a peatier whiskey or a peaty whiskey because this isn't peaty at all. That may be their preference. But they're still going to appreciate, oh my God, this is really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. Especially at that ABV.
Yes. Here we go.
Thank you, Nicholas.
You're very welcome, Dave. Welcome to Nick's Bar.
Oh, yeah, I'll come again.
I had to do something special, didn't I?
I'll definitely come again.
Well, we're doing another episode in a minute anyway. But you're welcome. Hey, December 14th, 2021, Nick here. As I said at the top of the show, we recorded this episode back in August when Dave came up to Manchester. It was his first time at the bar. That's why the continuity might be a bit off. Soz. Anyway, I just wanted to give you an update on the New Zealand Whisky Collection because, as we talked about in this episode, the whiskies they have on offer are from reserve stocks. But it has come to my attention that they have actually been distilling new liquid over the last few months. They've actually installed a distillery at Spates Brewery in Dunedin on the South Island of New Zealand, and they are now producing new make spirit ready for maturation at their warehouse in Oamaru. It's being run by their new general manager and head distiller, Michael Byers, along with Cyril Yates. And they've actually released some photos and video of them distilling on their Instagram, which I'll be linking in the show notes. So there you go. Great to see them making new liquid. We'll keep an eye on their progress, and we might revisit them in a future podcast. I'll now hand you back to slightly more youthful versions of myself and Mr. Dave Giles.
You're listening to Whiskey and Things.
Oh, mate. Special day, this.
So there we go.
Special day. We started off... And do you know what? This works.
This has worked. It felt a bit weird getting into it, I'm not going to lie. And we've had to shut the windows. It's a very muggy day today.
Yeah, we're quite warm.
And I've just put a really tight rugby top on, made of probably like synthetic fibres, and I'm sweating a bit.
Yeah, I'm a bit warm, but this has worked. It's really nice to be in the same room with you and have the instant reaction.
Yeah.
And body language and all that kind of stuff, which you don't get So maybe, hopefully, it's not too difficult for you to edit.
Yeah. No, and as well, I'll just invoice you for the whiskey you've had. As well, I seen this wasn't free, by the way.
Absolutely,
especially those prices. What are you talking about?
Absolutely.
So I'll send you an invoice. Yeah, got 30 days. Don't worry about it. It's loads of time.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
So there we go.
God dear. I've driven all the way here, spent all that money on petrol. He's now charging me.
It's all right. We're doing the gig tonight. You learn that straight back.
Fine. You have my fee. Fine.
It'd be about right, I think.
Anyway, if you'd like to support the podcast, talking of money.
You'd like to support these whiskies. Well, that was timing, wasn't it?
It was amazing. Talking of giving us money and allowing us.
Out of my pocket, everyone. This is my holiday money. I'm still paying this credit card bill off for these.
Hey, no, this is a serious point, though. Like, we've now been doing this for quite a while, and you don't earn money from podcasts. I don't understand it, right? If you stream a podcast on Spotify, no one earns any money from it. A 3-minute song, and I earn, it may be a tiny amount, but I earn something from it, right? So thank you to everyone who has, in some way, contributed, be it buying a merchandise, using our affiliate link, joining our Patreon, if you have done something, thank you so much. If you haven't, that's absolutely fine as well. If you're enjoying the podcast, you don't have to. That's the beautiful thing about it. But if you are able to, and you're willing, and you've enjoying what we're doing, it does mean we can treat ourselves and get some other whiskies. Because although we are getting sent a few things every now and then, there's other things we'd like to do which we can't, which aren't being sent to us, and things like that, or go to places and all those kind of things. So as the world is opening up, if you can help us out and make this doable for us, because at the end of the day, we're two musicians who haven't worked for 18 months. So anyway, enough begging. Thank you to anyone who has joined Patreon or donated or bought merchandise or gone on our Zazzle page. That exists as well. Some great stuff there.
We haven't really pushed the Zazzle.
We don't push that enough. We don't push that enough. But
we don't live enough either.
Well, in fairness, Nick, I don't. For all the things we do, I don't think actually we bring up this very. We do this very often and actually say...
No, we don't.
Nick does go out and buy a bottle of whiskey every now and then. I buy a bottle of whiskey every now and then. It all adds up. And yes, we enjoy it and all that kind of stuff. But equally, we're trying to make something for people to be entertained by, hopefully. Or learn something from, or laugh at us for how amateurish we are. Either way, we hope you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
Anyway, on that note, the Angels have had their share.
You've had your share.
I've definitely had my share, mate.
You've had more than your share. 4 whiskies in a show.
4 whiskies in one show. I think that's a record, isn't it?
Yeah.
4. And do you know
Wait
what?
to the whiskey show, mate.
Do you know what's amusing about that, mate? It might not be amusing at all. I'm thinking of the famous band from New Zealand called Crowded House, who have a song called 4 Seasons in One Day. And all I can think of right now is 4 whiskies in one day. There you go. You broke out into song, and now I've broke out into song, and that's probably the death.
So stagey.
Just end the show. Just end it. Anyway, cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for coming. Whiskey and Things has been brought to you by